Vectra. We've got AI on it.
Hi, my name's Daniel. I'm the pre-sales director for Vectra in the UK and Ireland. I just want to spend the next couple of minutes describing how Vectra is protecting modern networks from modern attacks. So first of all, what is a modern network? We define a modern network as an environment which consists of both on-premise and cloud-based networks, as well as multi-cloud resources and cloud-based identities. Now, the risk here and what a modern attack effectively is where a threat actor breaches one part of this modern network and then pivots to another part. Let me give you an example. This is an attack sequence that is modeled off a scattered spider attack. Now, the group scattered spider, one of the primary techniques that they use is socially engineering the credentials. So let's do a little bit of an intrusion analysis here. And I think it's important to look at these types of attacks and how they've played out, but also from the lens of a defender. We look at this and we think about what would happen if this were to play out in my environment. What detection and response capabilities do I have? In this particular attack, as I said, it's modeled off a scattered spider attack based on publicly available information. This attack took place a few years ago. First of all, socially engineered credentials, so credential theft in Entra ID. The threat actors then use that to actually access cloud-based environments. Now, this is possible if the access to the cloud environment is federated through the identity provider. It's also highly likely that the threat actors remain present on the network for some time and somehow elevated their privileges or managed to get access to an admin account in order to get access to the cloud. In this case, it was Azure. Once accessed Azure, they were able to deploy cloud workloads, specifically virtual machines, and able to join those to the on-premise domain, because that's what they used to then pivot down to the on-premise data center. So this is, as I said, this is an example of a cloud to network attack, because the initial breach happened via the socially engineered credentials, gave them access to the cloud environment, and then pivot to an on-premise data center. Once accessed the data center, there was multiple steps that took place prior to the objective. First of all, additional command and control channels were established to on-premise resources. There was persistence, there was reconnaissance and lateral movement. Finally, in this particular attack, the threat actors were able to deploy a strain of ransomware known as Black Cat, and that effectively stopped business operations by locking up hundreds of virtual machines. Actually, prior to that as well, there was a significant amount of employee and customer data exfiltrated. So this is what we call a modern attack. And the key thing here is that in any major modern attack, there's always a significant sequence of steps that the threat actors would undertake from the initial compromise to achieve their objective. And here's the thing, as defenders, we only need to have one detection. We only need to have one detection in order to foil the attack. And in a lot of these modern attacks, I think that there must have been multiple detections. But here's the thing, and this is the problem. This is one of the biggest problems for security teams today, and that is alert noise. So yes, there may have been multiple alerts in this, but it's highly likely that the alerts were either missed or not acknowledged because they just were not high enough criticality. So that moves on to what Vectra is. So Vectra is a threat detection platform that covers the modern network. And the only way that we can effectively protect ourselves against these types of attacks is to look at the sequence of activities. And that's exactly what Vectra does. Vectra is a threat detection platform that covers on-premise and cloud-based networks, as well as cloud-based resources and cloud-based identity providers. So what Vectra will do, it will provide a unified view across your modern network by looking for the sequence of activities that are known to be exhibited by threat actors when perpetrating these types of attacks. Vectra will present this in a unified console. So what we're looking for is the behaviors that the threat actors will undertake once they've established that initial access. Once the credentials have been compromised, it can be very difficult for traditional tools to detect that because it looks just like a user logging in. But the sequence of activities that account takes is not representative of that user. And then certainly pivoting to the network, the types of activities and behaviors that the threat actor would undertake, the reconnaissance, the establishing C2, and certainly the lateral movements. Vectra is looking for this sequence of activities and provide it to you in what we call a prioritized entity, which is effectively a high fidelity alert. And what we're looking for, by looking for that sequence of activities, we're effectively lowering the noise by not presenting individual alerts. If you've stayed with me all this time, thank you very much. Appreciate your attention.